His shaggy throat he opened wide, while from his jaws with carnage filled, foam and human gore instilled, hordes he bays with hideous din, eyes that glow and fangs that grin, and long pursues with fruitless yell the father of the powerful spell. This unsettling poem was printed in the Downham Market Gazette on 23rd of July 1898. Let's find out what kind of monster the author was writing about and what events inspired these fearful words. I'm your host Prash, and this is Curious Britain. It was Sunday, 4th of August, 1577. In the small town of Bungay in Suffolk, the parishioners were battling their way to the weekly church service through an extraordinary storm. Despite being summer, the rain fell in angry torrents and hailstones attacked the ground with the force of bullets. Lightning streaked across the sky, followed closely afterwards by enormous rumbles of thunder, which seemed to shake the ground and penetrate through to the very bones of those braving the weather. But this didn't stop the devout parishioners from forging onwards to their place of worship. By the time they arrived at the church, every single person was drenched, rainwater dripping from their clothes and hats all over the flagstones of St Mary's Church. The storm was so potent, so extraordinary, that they were beginning to think it couldn't possibly be natural. It must have been brewed in hell. Reverend Abraham Fleming pressed on with the service as best he could, raising his voice to be heard above the clamour of rain on the roof and the incessant rolling of thunder. The townsfolk knelt and prayed for salvation from the storm, knowing that their timber and thatch homes would be at risk if it continued, whether it be from flooding or from fire if there was a lightning strike. But what happened next was more terrifying even than nature's mighty swathes of wind and rain, and Reverend Fleming would go on to write about the subsequent events in an essay called A Strange and Terrible Wonder. As the community knelt in supplication to God, the doors behind them burst open with a tremendous bang, and a huge black dog bounded down the aisle, turning his head from side to side as he passed each pew, his eyes glowing like a furnace and his teeth white and glistening like rows of sharpened knives. Before anyone had a chance to run, the enormous dog slashed his way through the worshippers indiscriminately with his fearsome teeth and claws, killing 2 people instantly. While some nursed their wounds in shock and terror, others cowered on the ground praying that the hound wouldn't see them. Some even believed it must be the end of the world. Suddenly there was a blinding flash of lightning. The terrified people blinked and looked around the ravaged church. The black dog had disappeared. Bungay's relief would be matched by another villager's horror. 12 miles away, Blytheborough Holy Trinity Church was also in session. Lightning had struck the church moments before, causing the spire to topple over and crash through the roof onto the congregation below. The ensuing clap of thunder was deafening, and it was as if the sound had brought with it a demon from the netherworld. The giant hound appeared in the church as if from nowhere, the flashes of lightning illuminating the shadowy beast and creating the terrifying impression that he was aglow with the very fire and brimstone of hell. The diabolical being launched his second attack, leaving several people at Blytheborough dead. When the slaughter was finished, he ran out of the church, leaving a series of black scorch marks behind him on the wooden doors. As the surviving villagers picked themselves up, many of them bruised, burnt and traumatised, they truly believed they had been visited by something evil. Reverend Fleming later wrote, "All down the church in midst of fire the hellish monster flew, and passing onward to the choir, he many people slew. This mischief thus wrought, he flew with wonderful force to no little fear of the assembly, out of the church in a hideous and hellish likeness." The beast became known as Black Shuck, derived from the Old English word stucker, meaning devil. These incidents in Suffolk in 1577 were two of the earliest known appearances of this fiendish black dog, but they were by no means the last. Some would say that the wounds, burns and deaths could be explained by the lightning strike, and that the parishioners dreamed up the monster as a way of making sense of the violent electrical storm at a time when religion was all-encompassing and modern science was a long way off. It's easy to imagine how the dark church, torrential rain, guttering candles, bolts of lightning and blaring thunder could have set the scene for such a belief. But if Black Shuck was just a figment of the imagination during a summer electrical storm almost 450 years ago, why are tales of his appearance heard across the length and breadth of the UK? Stories of a large black dog have emerged from all over the nearby counties. Norfolk, Cambridgeshire, Essex and Lincolnshire, and Black Shuck is said to haunt the coast of East Anglia from Felixstowe all the way up to Hunstanton. At the village of Gelderston, just 5 miles west of Bungay, where the animal was seen for the first time, there are frequent reports even today of a large, dark-coloured dog lurking near the Old Locks Inn and in the churchyard. The beast is known by different names, depending on the region. On the Norfolk Broads it's called the Hateful Thing, while towards the west of the country, as far afield as the Isle of Man, it goes by the name Modadoo. The spectral hound has been reported in almost every corner of Britain, as far north as Northumberland and as far south as Cornwall. Some say he follows the paths of the Vikings and is descended from the hounds of Odin. The sightings are not confined to centuries past, with many instances being relatively modern. For example, a Mr. Wilson of Hempnell, a small village near Norwich, recounted seeing a black dog when he was cycling home one night, which appeared to pass right through the wheels of his bike. Most people who have seen it describe it as around the size of a small cow, with a blazing eye in the middle of its forehead, its steps completely silent on the ground. An ominous legend states that if you ever see Black Shuck, you'll meet disaster before the year is out. This frightening folktale is so ingrained in the local area that Bungay's coat of arms even features a black dog and a bolt of lightning, and many buildings and companies around the town include the name Black Dog. These days, however, it seems most people see it as little more than an entertainingly chilling tale to tell around a crackling log fire on a dark night. In 2022, the first ever Black Shuck Festival took place in Bungay on August 4th, the date of the terrible storm which gave rise to the first sightings of the ghostly canine. This is now an annual event which celebrates folklore, imagination and storytelling, and reclaims the Black Shuck legend as an important part of the town's history. St Mary's Church still attracts curious visitors who want to see for themselves the site of this remarkable event. Although there is no visible evidence remaining in Bungay, if you travel 12 miles to the scene of Black Shuck's second visitation, you can still see the scorch marks on the ancient wooden door of Blytheford Church today, often given the dramatic name the Devil's Fingerprints. Was it really just the lightning strike that terrorised the Suffolk townsfolk that day in 1577? And if so, how do we explain all the other sightings across the country? supernatural black dogs have become entwined in Britain's folklore, which can even be recognised in modern fiction, such as the Grimm in the Harry Potter books, whose appearance was said to foretell doom. Whether or not Black Shuck really attacked the churchgoers that day hundreds of years ago, it seems the legend continues to live on. You've been listening to Curious Britain. This show is run by a husband and wife team, me, Prash, and my wife Melissa, and between the two of us we do all the research, writing, narration and audio production. We think there's so much to learn about the country we call home. Few places in the world are shrouded in as much myth, legend, history and mystery as Britain, and we spend our spare time learning about the nation's heritage so we can bring these captivating stories to you. Join us again next time as we continue to explore the fascinating history of the UK, from prehistoric peculiarities and surprising history to mysterious monsters, forgotten folk tales and more, in this celebration of everything that's curious about Britain.